bringing the next video in the series. Feel free to call me Hawk if that's easier, but I do go by Hawkissimo. Today we're going to talk about Thor, God of Thunder, assassin, who can play like a warrior, but I'm going to be talking to you about playing him as an assassin. So this video is aimed at the casual Smite gamer. By casual, I mean those who enjoy playing Clash, my favorite mode, Siege, Joust, and even Arena. The builds for those formats differ from the builds in ranked conquest, casual conquest, and certainly pro-level SPL conquest. And the primary reason has to deal with the 3-lane structure and the slower access to money and experience points. So in the more free-flowing formats that I mentioned, you have to build a little bit differently. So this video is aimed at that part of the audience. All right, so you're thinking about the free rotation god, Thor, God of Thunder, and you want to know how you can improve your play with this assassin. Well, first off, I'll mention that I feel assassins are the last class that you should start to experiment with. You should probably start with a mage, then go into a hunter, then into a warrior, then into a guardian, and assassin last of all. Why? Well, it has to deal with both the lack of range, so hunters and mages both can poke from a distance, plus they have their abilities that hit from a distance, so that leaves them in a safer spot often. The other classes, so the warrior and the guardian, tend to be a bit more tankier, so you can correct or be forgiven for positional mistakes. Assassins, want to come in from hopefully places unseen, burst out all their damage, and then leave. They do not want to sit there and trade blows. They're here to assassinate. So whether or not the target started off healthy or hurt, the objective is still the same. Get in, get out. Okay, so now that I have hopefully not convinced you to ignore this video, but to stick with, for those who want to continue on their journey through the assassin class, what are the 2 ways to improve? Well, like with all classes, you should be thinking about 2 areas, and that's your ability builder and your item builder. You want to set up in advance what the thought process is for each. And it doesn't matter whether you have the system auto advance you or you're manually doing it, you still need to go through that thought process. I myself generally allow the system to advance my abilities, but it's advancing it based on a priority that I set up via the ability builder, which I'm going to show you how I do. And then I manually do my items, but I'm doing it based off the template that I set up and only navigating up to the other tabs when I'm in that situational pick that I need, and I'm very familiar with all the items, so I don't waste a lot of time navigating, but I want to save you the time. And why do saving time so important? Because every moment that you're at the fountain is a moment that you're not out having lane presence to get the extra experience and gold when kills and assists are occurring. So get on out there. Don't spend more than 3 seconds in the store. Okay, ability builder first. I'm not going to read each of the abilities. You're capable of doing that on your own, but I will talk what my thought process is for the sequence that you're about to see. I see a lot of people advancing the Berserker Barrage, his 3, first, because they believe that it gets more damage. And, well, you have to think about, am I going to get every tick that's involved when answering that? And there's a lot of different CC abilities that will prevent you from getting all the other ticks. For instance, if you're facing a Thor v Thor, you start your number 3, his Berserker Barrage, you're in your little whirly queue of death, and he slaps down the 2, he stunned you out of it. So you got off a tick or 2. Meanwhile, while you're stunned, he hits you with your 1, both on the outbound and the return, so that you took the bonus damage on the return, and now you're going, gosh, I wish I had advanced my 1 first. Well, that's why I have you look in here and thinking about what the pros and cons are for each ability and make a suggestion for you. So I go his 1, his 3, his 1, pick up his 2, forget to get that stun, give myself peel, give my allies peel, but also to be able to separate my opponent from their allies so that we can focus fire them down. Then I really have you pick up your ultimate, ignore the ultimate after that until the very end because you don't get enough bang for your buck with the additional levels. It's only 50 points of damage for each level that you put in it without any increase to the stun amount nor any decrease to the cooldown. And that's just not enough bang for the buck. It's definitely worth it to have one level early, but you're better off leveling these other abilities that have much quicker cooldown so that you get to use them more often in the heat of battle. So with that in mind, you can continue looking up at the pictures at the top. You can pause the video if you want to sit there and go finish this part for your god and then come back and go into the item builder. Or simply rewatch the video afterwards. Okay, so on to the item builder. I'm going to give you two different builds all in the same template. So how am I going to do that? Well, I'm going to use a bit of trickery. I'm going to say that your A build is really the top line and the second line with one optional item in the defense line. Plus, you're going to, of course, have two different relics. So let's talk about this layout. You're going to be doing your damage primarily through abilities. You're not one of the pros. You're not doing attack cancels. So I'm not going to focus on the Hydra's Lament and the attack cancel stuff. By all means, there are videos out there that show you how to do that. And long term, I do suggest that you get that, but only after you master the basics of the god. So with that said, I want you to start with Bluestone Pendant because it's easy to proc off his 1 and his 3 and his ult. And that's a lot of extra damage very early in the game. First level, you're going to be hitting for an extra 30 on the passive, plus the extra 15 power, plus you're going to get the mana regen. And I don't know about you, but when it's me and I'm an assassin, I'm always craving mana. Definitely build Warrior Tabi. Do not build Ninja Tabi. You are not an auto attack based god. You want to hit and hit as hard as possible in a short amount of time and then leave. And for that, there's a 1-to-1 ratio between physical power and your basic attack damage. So by going with the Warrior's Tabi, we're adding 40 to our hand-to-hand damage as soon as it's completed. Whereas if we went with Ninja, we'd only add the 20. Don't do that. Next, I have you going into the Healing Chalice. And I have you going into the Healing Chalice because you back a bit more in all of the casual formats, except, of course, Salt. Much more than you do in Conquest. And every time you go back to the fountain, the chalice refills with 3 additional potions. So once you've backed one time, if you've used the 3 potions that you had at the start, you go back and you refill, you've gotten 300 gold worth of stuff, which means that every time you use potions beyond that, you're ahead of the game. Which means that you don't start to feel stingy about using your potions, which means that you have more health while you're out there, which means you have lane presence, which means you're getting more gold and more XP, which means you're snowballing and hopefully turning this into winning tactics against the enemy. The next item, hey, if you want to ward in casuals, God bless you. I know I ward, but I often feel like I'm the only one out there warding. Wards win games. I'm never going to complain against anybody who wards. God bless us all because it should be done. But another viable choice is to go ahead and carry 1 mana potion as you get out of jail free. You notice your mana's getting low and maybe you're going to need to peel back, or maybe you refresh so that you have enough to hit both your ultimate and the follow-up chains after that and confirm a kill. Hey, $50 to confirm a kill or to get away, definitely worth. Okay, after that, we're going to focus on power and penetration. Again, we want every strike to hit and hit as hard as possible, which means it's got to penetrate. I don't want to deal with defenses. I want every hit to be as close to 2 damage as possible. Well, Joe Turns is going to help with that. It has power, it has pen, it gives you cooldown, plus some extra mana, letting you cast your abilities more and have that lane presence. Shifter Shield. Heck, I thought Shifter Shield was great before the buff. in 4.9, the 4.9 buff just made it even easier to pick when you're an assassin. So you get more power when you're healthy and more defense when you're hurt. Everything you want as an assassin. So go ahead and pick that up. Brawler's Beat Stick, following it up. 40 more power, 15 more pen, plus a very useful passive which hurts healing. And when they say healing, they don't just mean the Sylvanuses and the Changes and the Ras of the world, but they also mean health potions, they mean meditations, they mean your HP 5. So you're reducing the effectiveness of all of that for 8 seconds. 8 seconds in combat is an eternity. People are dying left and right in 8 seconds. Heck, at the point where you guys are attacking the Titan as a team, 8 seconds is often 0 to or 100 to 0. So very effective item. For the power and the pen and the passive, put them all together, great item. Put it in your main build. Finally, in that 5th slot, because, you know, your boots, I don't count the starter item, then going 4 more deep, is Titan's Bane. Hey, if you're at this point in the game, you got to start pushing those objectives and push them hard, and Titan's Bane is the item to do that. What does Hawk mean when he's talking about objectives? I mean those towers. I mean those phoenixes. I mean the Titan to win the game. Heck, the Fire Giant, the Gold Fury, or Apotheosis. Any of that stuff. All good. Titan's Bane. Also, by then, your tanks have built more and more physical protection, and we're in a meta where auras are very common, so even squishies are getting the effects of armor because of auras that their allies have cast. So you, again, want to punch right through that. Okay, relics. You get one at free at first, one at 12th. You can upgrade them at any time as long as you spend the cashola. Any of these 4 is good. The first 3 let you be aggressive with your abilities and provide escape mechanics. The last one is the naked aggression, you know, put that damage out and lower their resistance. I know it's getting a small nerf in patch 4.10, which is still 2 weeks away for a week and a half away for a console, but it's only being lowered by 10. It's still a very effective relic. Again, I like the flexibility for the first 3 because I feel safer tower diving to secure those kills and staying in a little bit longer, knowing I have several escape mechanics via these items. But any combination of 2 of these 4 and you'll be effective with Thor. Finally, your situational item. I know I repeat the hammer here, but there's a reason. That means go pick up one of these other items. The hammer's here to remind us on the B build that it's still viable. So let's talk about the B build. On the B build, I haven't built any of these items. So this is what my A build looks like. I've sold this finally and only when I'm ready to build the final item. So maybe I'm going to build this. Maybe I'm going to build this. Maybe I want the extra health, the defense, and the Aegeus effect, or purification effect, I should say, that this provides. But power and armor and move speed, power, move speed, and the ability to convert your physical power into one of your abilities, all viable choices. For the B build, we're still going to follow that top line and build that stuff. So your build is going to look like this at the start. And then you're going to come down to this line. This is when you're facing a lot of physicals. Right away, let's just go right into that physical defense. We get cooldown. And once we build this, we're at the max cooldown that's allowed in the game, the 40. If you notice on the right-hand side of the screen, there's the utility section. The second item shows that I'm now at 40. But pay attention to those bracketed numbers. Those bracketed numbers are the hard caps that are there for each one of those. And since that's a 40, that's the max amount of cooldown. So this lets you vomit out your abilities left and right. Turns those 10-second cooldowns into 6 seconds. You know, great stuff. Then shift your shield. Remember, it's not just defense. It's a lot of power. It's 70 power when you're healthy. And that's nothing to sneeze at. Then, again, we continue the thoughts of power and pen. We sell our starter item. We come up here to the flex. And really, Titan's Bane. I'm going to bang the drum for Titan Spain left and right. So important in the meta today with tanks, and even if they're all squishies, dealing with towers, phoenixes, and the objective monsters, important. Beat the Titan, win the game. Doesn't matter how many kills your team has, right? So there's my advice for Thor, God of Thunder, Assassin, Diamond God for me. Like him a lot. Do think he's not on the terribly difficult side of the Assassin pool. Can be played more tanky than a lot of Assassins and sort of run a hybrid warrior style. I've told you which formats it's for. Please click the like if you like the information that was contained in this video. Feel free to subscribe. If you have comments or questions, go ahead to the section below and I'll do my best to answer in a timely fashion. And I hope to see you out there playing Smite. This is Hawkissimo signing out.